I hope the coming days will be better. We are going through tough times. May God bless the people so they can see the happiness in their children's.
Geha, who's here in Istanbul. She's an associate professor at the American University of Beirut. So, Carmen, the World Bank has just described Lebanon as sinking into one of the most severe economic crises. And it says one of the causes is deliberate inaction on the part of leaders. Deliberate inaction. Is there truth to that?
That is, in fact, the huge truth about Lebanon. First of all, thank you for telling the story. And I think that Lebanon's imploding crisis is important and impactful, not just for the people of Lebanon, but for the Mediterranean cities around us more generally. This is a group of men that left knowingly explosives at the port on the Mediterranean this time last year, who are now evading any form of investigation. And yes, this is a deliberative crisis because they simply don't have any interest in undertaking reforms that would lead to structural change and allow for aid, but also investment to flow into the country. So this is a deliberate disaster, and that is the story that needs to come out of Lebanon. I think the humanitarian crisis and the poverty rates clouds the real story, which is we are under siege by our own political class, whose money, by the way, is outside Lebanon, whose kids are outside Lebanon, who are right now buying time, as you rightfully said, and just focused on elections, leaving us without a government when people don't have electricity and fuel and food to eat.
And anyone who follows world news knows that Lebanon is having a problem, a crisis. But it's shocking to see now some experts saying that this could rank in the top 10, maybe the top 3 of the world economic crises globally since the mid-1800s.
Yes, because this was a long time in the making. They've been in power for the last 30 years after the Lebanese civil war, and they've managed to destroy all lifelines for Lebanon, from telecom to public transport. They destroyed the Lebanese university, public university. They destroyed our water. They ruined the sea. They managed to create pollution. We have the highest rates of cancer in West Asia. It's one of the worst crises because it's been a long time in the making. The only way they stay in power is to deplete the state. The state has been so depleted that it literally exploded, and now they just want to stay in power. So this is a story that is important not just for the people of Lebanon, but for the world, and especially for the region. We don't want another terrorist sponsoring, narcotics exporting, and human trafficking state. We want a stable Lebanon for a stable region and a stable world. So that's the story that needs to be told.
You know, we hear many dire analyses, with some saying that there's no clear turning point on the horizon. But what do you think? Is there any sign of hope in the future?
I think that we are in the turning point, means that the more they hold on grip, the more they maintain their grip over power, the more that you see local institutions, Lebanese here and abroad, foreigners, media institutions that are mobilizing in order to provide another model. And I think that there are a ton of human rights organizations, hospitals, schools, medical doctors, nurses, professors, activists, artists, I mean, all mobilized to save Lebanon. It's just going to take some time. And so right now, what we need is to help the people in Lebanon, not just the Lebanese people, but the massive number of refugees and migrant workers, so that we can get back on our feet. But I think there is absolutely not just hope. I mean, the wheel of change has turned. You choose any sector today, and we've created an alternative for it. We just need a little bit of time to make sure that people don't die of hunger so that we can vote them out, inshallah, in the next year.
And describe to us some of the stories that you hear of how this crisis affects everyday life.
It's like being in a prison with no electricity and water. I mean, it's just debilitated. I mean, like the reportage said, it's more than 50% of people below poverty line. What used to be a middle class is really now a poor class. Even if you can afford it, you have to wait in line for hours to have gas and fuel. It's like being in prison, to be honest. I mean, there's no other feeling to describe it. And you're living with your rapists. It means their pictures are on TV. That you have to see them on the side of the road. You have to queue near pictures hanging of them while people are suffering. I mean, it's really like living with your rapist, I think, and seeing them, you know, hold the keys to do something, and they just simply do nothing.
Carmen, thank you so much for your insights on that.